Hey everyone, happy Monday. It is November 4th here, and it's the day before my mother's birthday. It is also the day before Election Day here in the United States. So if you are watching from the United States, I hope that everyone either voted early or you plan to vote tomorrow. Hope you're registered and have a plan to vote. Everyone's voice needs to be heard. That is my public announcement. But if this is your first time here on the Other Side Cast, welcome. We are all about the mental health journey that all of us take when we are born into this life. But the thing is, we're just doing it together here on the Other Side podcast. It's just the other side of thinking about your mental health, of walking in that journey, in that path. And so I'm happy to be your host for the Other Side podcast. My name is Janelle Villiers. I am an author. I am a book writing coach. I help people take the messy idea of the book that they have in their head out of their head and onto paper so that way they can publish and impact the people they've been called to publish. That is a little bit about me. And what I typically do is I go through a topic that people bring to my attention, or maybe something that has come to my attention based on things that I've seen in the news or different thoughts that I've had, sometimes even dreams that I've had. I'm being totally honest. And I like to share them with you, share those thoughts, and that way we can all learn and grow together. So welcome to the Other Side podcast. Today, I wanted to talk about a topic that I think is important for all of us as we're on this journey. And that is the topic of, no, not that one, the topic of getting outside of your comfort zone. Why and how we can do it is probably really important. And so I really wanted to go over a couple of things with you guys to encourage us all to recognize that it's a good thing to do, maybe why we're scared to do it, and some strategies for how we can incorporate getting out of our comfort zones more regularly in our lives. So I will also talk to you guys about some examples in my life of how I have gotten out of my comfort zone, and hopefully that can be helpful to some other people who are trying to do it. So number one, let's go over, what does it really mean to step out of our comfort zones? Why is it so hard? The number one reason I think it is hard to step out of our comfort zones is basically because it means that we're now embracing uncertainty. And who wants to do that, to be honest, right? It feels so nice and cozy in our comfort zones. Everything you already know about, there are no surprises, there's nothing you have to guess. You kind of feel like you have this control over what's going on, although that's probably not a real sense of control, but like you think you have a sense of control. But when you're getting out of your comfort zone, there's this unknown that's going to happen. There could be surprises that come your way. This could create fear and doubt. What does that mean? What is it going to do? Can I handle it? I don't know if I can. And a shift from going from something that's predictable to unpredictable can be certainly challenging for us and for our growth, but it's necessary because there's this saying that nothing good ever comes from being in your comfort zone. The best things in the world come from stepping out of your comfort zone. So these challenges that we go through are all part of our growth. The number two reason why it's a challenge is probably because when you step out of your comfort zone, a lot of times you're challenging your self-identity. So what this means is there are parts of your self-identity that don't exist outside of your comfort zone, right? Who you see yourself as is probably all within this comfort zone. So if you peek out of the comfort zone, you start to look at some like a different area and space that you're not necessarily comfortable with, you're not familiar with, maybe that means you get to be someone else. Maybe that identity now is left behind as you start to approach things outside of your comfort zone. And that could be really, really challenging. Maybe in your comfort zone, you can do certain things and you cannot do other things. But now outside of that comfort zone, what if you can? Or what if you cannot? Right. And so I think, again, it's the growth. It's trying to understand yourself better. And that can be difficult when it's unfamiliar, trying to get a better sense as to who you are, what you can do, what you can't do. Now maybe changes. And what does that mean about who you are? And and maybe how other people see you, right? So then again, it can create more sense of fear, of doubt, fear of judgment, certainly, right? If your identity changes, because maybe in your comfort zone, you know, you're well accepted. You don't have to worry about whether people are judging you or anything like that. All right. And then the third reason why it could be really hard is because you could face failure and or rejection. So when you step out of your comfort zone, it really is a risk, right? Because you don't know what the outcome will be. And you're going to try the best you can, of course. But even sometimes with your best efforts, things don't go the way that you planned. They could, quote unquote, fail, right? It doesn't work out to a really bad degree. Or maybe you get rejected. People don't like this new version of you outside of your comfort zone, and that can feel threatening to your safety, right? Oh, I'm no longer safe, right? People are rejecting me. If I fail, they will reject me, these types of things. And I think acknowledging this could be the first step towards breaking through. If you recognize, oh, the reason why I don't want to get out of my comfort zone is because I'm scared of failing or I'm scared of the rejection. So again, if you're thinking, okay, why is it so hard to get out of my comfort zone? We went over 3 reasons why. 1 is it requires you to embrace uncertainty. 2, it challenges your self-identity. And 3, you have to face failure and potentially even rejection, stepping out of your comfort zone. So really quickly, I thought it would make sense if I shared with you some of my own experiences of getting out of my comfort zone. And the 3 that came to mind very quickly were, number 1 is about 9 years ago now, maybe 8 or 9 years ago, I started a business in a network marketing company while I still had 3 jobs. Most people with 3 jobs would think, I don't have time to start a new business. I don't have time to do anything else. But I just was like, I'm doing this thing and I keep doing it thinking like, oh, okay, and like all of a sudden things are going to get easy for me. I won't be like living paycheck to paycheck. I won't be doing but I was like, well, you know, obviously this is insanity if I think this is going to change and I keep doing the same thing over and over again. So I'm going to try this new thing and see if it works. And it may not have, right? It may not have. It just happened to work out after a lot of hard work. And some things that didn't go well. And there were definitely some ups and downs, but ultimately it helped me go from having 3 jobs to just 1, which is a really big deal. And so I would never have known that. I would have never have had those experiences. I never would have traveled to all the places I ended up traveling to had it not been for those, for just trying something new, for getting out of my comfort zone and giving it a go. I did have some comfort in that I did have some other people who were helping me along the way, so I wasn't completely isolated and alone, but it was definitely a risk. And looking back, one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. However, it was a huge risk at the time. I also risked in terms of identity. People were like, oh, Janelle's doing this network marketing thing. I know for sure there were many people who probably looked down on me and thought like, what's wrong with her? And like, I can't believe she's doing one of those things. And actually had some people talk to me personally, which I was happy for. Loved it when someone actually wanted to talk to me about it rather than just talking behind my back. But I'm more than certain all of those things happened. So that was a risk for me. So if you can relate to that, if you've ever been in a network marketing company, if you ever put yourself in a position of doing something where your people thought you were crazy or thought you were like insane, didn't know where you were going to find the time to do it or whatever it was, certainly let me know. Put a 1 in the comments. Let me know if that's you, if you've experienced that. That way I know I'm not alone. The second example I could think of may be a little bit cheesy, but it's true. And that is every single romantic relationship I've ever been in. It's been out of my comfort zone. I've taken a risk for sure. And if you think about it, right, like you're getting to know somebody, you're being vulnerable, you're letting them see like things about you that maybe you try to cover up in front of other people or don't like a lot of people to see about you. And there's this risk of rejection. There's this risk of like, no, I don't know. You seemed okay in the beginning, but no longer is that okay. And isn't that rough, right? Like that's really difficult. Or this idea that maybe we weren't a really good match and maybe people will judge me because I spent X amount of time being with this person, or everyone else told me I shouldn't be with this person, but I was like, no, I'm going to do it anyway. Still didn't work out, but whatever, right? Like you're going to try. So I would say for sure, every single romantic relationship I've ever been in has definitely been an exercise in getting out of my comfort zone and risking rejection, risking failure, all of that. And then the third example, which is the most recent example of a huge leap of faith, is leaving my 9 to 5 job. So for those of, oh, sorry, let me go back. If you if you also feel like every romantic relationship has put you out of your comfort zone in some way, shape, or form or level, please put a 2 in the comments. So no, I'm not alone. I'd really like to know that. Oh, good. So Maya, one. Okay, so you've been there, so you know. So put a 2 in the comments if you feel like romantic relationships have been an area where you feel like definitely getting out of your comfort zone there. And then the third example is the most recent one. So my 9 to 5, I recently resigned from it. I was a professor. I essentially taught human genetics, the easiest way to say it. And it's been June, July, August, September, October. It's been 5 months now and no regrets, none. I started my own coaching business. I talked about that in the very beginning. I help people get the scramble of the book idea that they have in their head out of their head and onto paper so they can publish and impact the people they've been called to publish. And it has been amazingly fulfilling for me. I really love what I'm doing. I feel called to do it. And yeah, it's super risky. I don't have like another job in line. This could very well fail, to be quite honest, right? I'm out here, you guys are seeing it in real time, real life. Like I'm doing something new and it may not work out. But I have the faith and trust in God. I don't think he would have brought me this far just to leave me here. I am surrounded by other people. I have a coach, Darren. Shout out to Darren. I don't know if he's watching right now, but if you are, shout out to Darren who's helping me along the way. And a lot of other people around me who are also trying new things and starting new businesses, passion businesses that they feel like they've been called to be a part of. And so being around that type of community is always helpful. And I think keeps you moving forward, even though you're uncertain, even though you're doing something for the first time. Because let's be honest, anytime you do something for the first time, it's always going to be sucky, right? It's never going to be perfect, even though we would love for it to be. And I'm certainly doing this in front of a lot of people. Anyone who follows me on social media knows that this is like this new thing that I'm doing. And so if it doesn't work out, like they're going to see all of that. So it's definitely a risk of rejection all the time when I'm talking to people about what I do. And I think I could really help them, but they could say, no, I don't think you can. So all of that, this leap of faith that I've done is here. And what keeps me going is I do feel like this is my calling. I do believe this is my purpose. And so then I'm just going to avail myself to be there and ready and prepared as best as I can be for when I do find the people who I've been called to help, then I can be there for them and it'll all work out in the long run. So those are my 3 examples of getting out of my comfort zone. I would say there was also a point in my life where I was trying to do something out of my comfort zone once a day. If it was even if it was something as simple as like, oh, you know what? I typically take my morning walks in this route. I'm going to go down a road I've never been down before just to like see where it takes me. And even if it was something as simple as that, it still felt really cool. It was almost like an adventure. Well, let's see what happens. It's an adventure. And it's a small risk, right? Just, going down a road in a neighborhood that you live in, but you've just never seen before. But that's just like an example. Even if that was the only thing I could do, I would try to get that in. Maybe it's picking up the phone and talking to somebody who I haven't talked to in a really long time. Some other examples of taking a risk is talking to complete strangers. For me, it's saying the thing that's on my mind, like the first thing that comes to mind. I usually squash that thought. Oh, okay. Thanks, Apple, for the thumbs up. But have you ever had a thought and like immediately squash it and you're like, I'm not gonna say that out loud, right? Not gonna do that. Yeah, I've done that several times, like all the time, to be quite honest. And so sometimes I push myself to say the thing that I'm thinking. And most recently, I've been challenging myself to get out of my comfort zone and try to identify what I'm feeling. Because I've been noticing that I don't tell people what I'm feeling. I kind of feel embarrassed to do that. And so number one is to become more aware of what I'm feeling and then to actually share it whenever I can. So these are new things that I'm trying to do every day, all the time. Just one little thing every day to get out of your comfort zone. Make the phone call, do the thing even when like you don't feel like doing it, like whatever that is. But if you can do something like that, that will be super helpful for you, because I know it's been super helpful for me. So this brings me to my next point, which are what are some strategies that we can put into place that can help us start breaking these barriers so that way we can start getting outside of our comfort zone. And the first thing is just set small achievable goals. I just gave you a couple of examples. Walk down a road you've never walked down, right? Talk to somebody who you've never spoken to before. Pick up the phone when you're feeling nervous about calling them, because what's the worst that could happen is they're like, oh no, they don't pick up. Or they're like, no, thank you. I don't want to talk to you, or I don't want to I don't want to buy the thing that you're selling, or whatever it is, right? But do something small, something achievable, something that you can do. You can be like, yep, did that. Starting that way is really helpful. Public speaking is something that makes people really nervous and certainly gets people out of their comfort zone. And so you can start with smaller groups until you build up to big ones. And success in these small steps builds a lot of confidence over time. So it's all about doing the small things and actually achieving them. It's a huge win for the confidence level. Speaking of public speaking, huge shout out to Vincent Phipps. I don't know if you ever are going to watch this, but just shout out to you. This weekend, I'm going out to his professional speakers kit seminar that's happening this weekend in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I can't wait to be a certified professional speaker and to move forward in that place and space, to be able to do speaking gigs, workshops, those types of things. That's really exciting. But anyway, got to start small. My small audience is my screen, you guys, the conversations we get to have. It's been a lot of fun. The second thing that you can do in terms of strategy to get out of your comfort zone is to challenge one belief weekly. When I read this tip, I was like, oof, this is tough, right? So think about something that you believe in and actively pursue, like do research to see if you can actually disprove this thing that you've been believing. That is super challenging, because a lot of times what we believe becomes our identity. I believe that the sky is blue, and so I'm now one of those blue sky people, right? It becomes an identity that you have, especially right now. And I think in this modern age that we live in, it's very common for people to do that. So if you go out of your way to see if your belief is actually true or not, that is really interesting. Here's one belief that really benign that I thought was really interesting. There's this wives' tale that dog years are whatever human years are times 7. So if your dog is 1 year old in human years, that means they're 7 years old in dog years, right? Where did that come from? Turns out that is not true. And I think all of us, anyone who's had a small dog versus a big dog, also knows that that's not true instinctively, because these small dogs live way more than the big dogs, right? Big dogs maybe live 7 years, maybe 10. Those small dogs are living like 15, 20 years. And that's like normal. It's not like I'm saying that that's something abnormal, but how could you have one breed of dog that lives really long and another breed of dog that lives really short, and yet all dogs, it's times 7, right? So here's a belief. Why do I believe this? And then go find the evidence to prove otherwise. I'm one of those people, by the way, I totally believe that 7 years thing. If you believe that 7 years thing, go ahead and put a 7 in the chat so I know I'm not alone. But wouldn't that be interesting if we all did that once a week? Challenge something that we believed, or challenge something that we think that we're not good at. And so that could be learning a new skill, something that's super simple. And there's so many apps now that do this, is learning a new language. Just learn something new, right? And they gamify it now. So it's like a lot of fun to learn new languages and things like that. I was learning Portuguese for a little bit. I just started learning Korean on Duolingo. We'll see how far I get. I think I learned more Korean by watching K-dramas. That's a whole other story for another day. All right, and the third strategy is to surround yourself with growth-minded people. Huge. This is huge. You want to surround yourself with the people who outthink you. You want to surround yourself with people who are constantly looking to grow and to learn. If you're not growing, you're dying. That's the truth of the matter is. And when you're growing, it's not always comfortable. It requires you to challenge yourself, get out of your comfort zone, face the rejection, face the failure, face your fears, face your doubt, all of which can be very scary. I know, but everything good comes on the other side of getting out of your comfort zone. So I am challenging all of us to do any one of these three things. So again, remember, here are the strategies for getting out of your comfort zone. Three things that you can do is: one, set small achievable goals; two, challenge one belief weekly or learn something new weekly; and number three, surround yourself with growth-oriented people. So I hope you guys found this helpful. Really quickly, to sum up what we've talked about today is, why is it so hard to get out of your comfort zone? Number one. And the three reasons why it's really hard is because you have to embrace uncertainty, you have to challenge your self-identity, and the third thing is it often causes you to face failure and rejection when you get out of your comfort zone. But here are three strategies that you can use to help get yourself out of your comfort zone. Set small and achievable goals; two, challenge one belief weekly; and three, surround yourself with growth-oriented people. If you found this helpful, let me know in the comments. Please give a big heart if you're like, yes, tons of value. Let me know. I really want to know. It's really helpful. And really, it just tells the algorithm that, yeah, this is really helpful, and we're going to share it with more people. If you really want to support me, honestly, guys, subscribe. It's free. It's the freest thing that you could do, and it would be amazing. It does so much by you subscribing. And if you really thought this was really helpful, share it to somebody else who you think needs to see it. Thank you all. I can't wait to see. Oh, Maya gave the hearts. Lisa gave the hearts. Awesome. Thank you all. I can't wait to see you next Monday. Until then, have a great day.